Hey everybody. I'm not sure what happened there. We had a little bit of a hiccup on the live video there. I'm not sure what happened. It went to go live and then it just said, "Okay, your video is ended." Sorry about that. Hopefully, hopefully you got a notification that we're doing it here. I just restarted it, so hopefully it works fine. I'm not sure. That was a weird little hiccup they had there. So hello. Here we are. I wanted to update everybody on our Hillview Manor experience, and we survived. We made it through. Um, so before we get into that, I wanted to just mention that we're going to start doing these Facebook Live things on a weekly basis. I think I really like interacting. Hopefully, it goes smoother than the setup for the live video did tonight. Um, but at the same time, we love interacting with everybody. Some of the most fun I have doing this is talking to you guys through these live videos. So we're going to start doing them on a weekly basis if possible. Just talking about our investigations, our experiences, upcoming events we have, and also any paranormal topics of interest, things that interest you, things that you things that you reach out to us and tell us, because we'd really like to hear what you guys want us to talk about, whether it be our adventures or somebody else's or another topic, any Q&A. It's all there, so please leave a comment, reach out to us about anything that you'd like to for us to comment on, because we like communicating with you guys, and this is a lot of fun. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do this on a weekly basis. So, but this video, I came on tonight to talk about Hillview Manor. I came on to talk about all of the things that happened there, and just sort of our adventures of what went into going there. First of all, this iconic location. I mean, this was an 85,000 square foot building, and we each walked about 3 miles in it over the course of the night. I will tell you that the staff they have there, the volunteers, are phenomenal. They know the history. They knew every hot spot. The tour that they gave beforehand was fantastic. If you ever go to an iconic location, don't say no to the tour. Apparently, some people do. I have no idea why. They know the hot spots. They know all the stories. They know the spirits' names that are most commonly caught. They also know what isn't paranormal, which is important. They told us a story about a loading bay door that tends to buckle and make a loud bang on windy nights. In fact, they told us in the episode of Ghost Adventures that took place at Hillview, they heard a really loud bang, and they didn't know at the time that the loading bay door did this, but they know now, and of afterwards they were able to debunk that as just being the loading bay door. Um, One thing that was interesting, a little bit of a concern I had going in, is that the people there were going to consider us to be kind of minor league, because we are. They've had all the TV shows there, they've had everybody there, and I was actually surprised. They were very complimentary of our tech setup and our strategy. They said we came in there with not only some of the best equipment they've ever seen, but we were more organized than most people who come in, which I take a lot of pride in. I do the tech, and Emily and I make the plan. So for that was kind of cool. But this place has a lot of well-known spirits, and certain areas, certain rooms, both the patients and the nurses. This place, the spirits are well known. They had trigger objects all over the place because there's groups there every night. I think I said it on the video last week. There was a group there the night before we were there and a group there after. We're just another group coming in. They had golf balls all over the place. For those of you who don't know, Hillview Manor golf course is right behind it. Golf course I've played at least 400 times in my life because I grew up right there. In fact, on the 14th green is there are bodies from the cemetery underneath it. But the golf balls, a lot of the residents used to interact with the golfers, so the golf balls are all over the place to the point where you kind of have to watch where you're walking. They also know the bad areas, the areas with the grumpy patients, the not so nice spirits. There's kind of a new development there where they have a spirit they call the creeper, which they don't believe was human. They think it's an elemental, but it crawls on the ceiling and on the floor as a black mass, and it ain't nice apparently. We heard a hiss at one point. We don't know if it was the creeper. It was right in that area, but it's nice to get that kind of history. So What we experience? Well, let me tell you, we experienced a lot of heat. It was extremely warm there. There's no air conditioning. There's no sun, and even though it was a cooler night, the building holds the heat of the day, and it was in the 80. It was probably about 80 degrees in there. We were very warm. Got a good exercise, but the energy just pulsates through that building, and every floor there is something that we experienced that we remember. The third floor, we felt a very in the rec room. There was a very heavy presence. Interestingly, it wasn't there when we first went in, and then I left the camera in there. Realized it when we left. Went back in and just felt that weight that you feel when there's something with you. I did see what appeared to be like a shadow of almost like the silhouette of someone from the shoulder up in the ambient light against the wall. I'm reviewing the evidence from that area now. I don't think we caught it, so that's just a personal experience. There was a room with an inmate who his Bible was still there from the 1930s, and Linda, who was with us, member of my family who was with us, felt a very strong connection. We went and read some Bible verses. I haven't reviewed that part yet, so hopefully he spoke to us. We didn't see anything, but we haven't reviewed that part. The second floor, you got the creeper on the one side, and I'll tell you, that whole side was really uncomfortable. That side of it just didn't want you there. It had a vibe, one of the things, everywhere you walked on that floor, you always felt like there was something right behind you. In fact, with the handheld camera, I would turn it around every once in a while because I just felt like somebody was a step behind. You know that feeling when there's someone a little too close to you. That's what that floor feels like all the time. We caught a lot of light anomalies in the cafeteria. The cafeteria is where I had my paranormal experience 20 years ago, where I heard the piano playing. And Emily actually played the piano in there. And I will tell you, probably the creepiest thing of the evening was Emily playing Amazing Grace on the piano. The song isn't creepy, but a slightly out of tune piano in a pitch black room and of a place you know is extremely haunted is a little unnerving. But it was cool. It was pretty cool. Um, and then the first floor, the north wing had a feeling to it. We had an incident there I'll discuss in a minute. Not a bad incident, but just something happened. We've caught a few EVPs on the camera. The chapel was very interesting. We had Emily especially had very strong feelings in there. Picked up some very relevant words on the ovulus and the paranormal puck in that room. And I got scratched. I know, I'm really excited about that. We are investigators, we are sick people. But finally, something happened to me and not to Emily. Everything seems to happen to her. I was walking on part of the first floor and I felt on my lower back like what felt like a bite or something. And I said, I actually thought I got bit by a bug. And I said, I had Emily, just pulled up back of my shirt, and I had a scratch right across my back, about what 4 or 5 inches long, pretty thick. Don't know where it came from. 20 minutes later, it was gone without a trace. So, I mean, it's not a bug. There's no trace there. I can't explain it, but I think I got scratched, which is pretty cool for people like us to do what we do. Um, but those are the experiences we had. Now, as it pertains to the evidence, we're still reviewing. This place was huge, and we came in strong. We've got 40 plus hours of video that we've had to review. 5 stationary cameras, 2 trail cameras, a thermal camera, and 2 handheld cameras. And we relied on the handheld cameras a lot more than usual because, unlike normal, like if we investigate the Worcester Inn or Grapevine Farms, our stationary cameras are in the spots we're going to be investigating. So a lot of the investigation gets caught on those. This was much more like you see on the TV shows. We used the stationary cameras in the hot hallways, like the hot spots on the hallways. So most of the investigation footage is on the handheld cameras, and we have about 5 to 7 hours of that, which we haven't reviewed yet. I'm saving the best for last. Um, Now we have 7 plus hours of audio too. Digital recorder, Phasma box, Spirit box, which we seem to have gotten some decent things on. There's over 300 digital photos, and actually 300 digital plus Polaroid. They had a spirit there who was known to pose for Polaroid pictures in his life, so I tried to get him to pose for me. We have reviewed the photos. Nothing's jumped out. as being obvious. I'll look at them again, but I don't think we caught anything in the photos. And how we review, I've talked about this in the past, but I'll review it. I review the video. Emily does the audio. Occasionally, when Aaron and Pedro come along, they do some of it. But it takes Emily just as long to review the audio as it does for me to review the video, even though there's 7 times more video. And that's because the audio is harder to review because, man, she has to dissect what is that sound? Where did that come from? So she listens to things 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Brings me in a lot to sort of just give my opinion. Where on the video, things are pretty straightforward. Most of the time, it's just me staring at the same room, waiting for something to move or make a sound. And while we do this, we're taking notes. And these notes that we take are just things that we want to look at later. Things that, like, notable things. And then after we review everything, we go back into the notes, the isolated clips, and we debunk and debunk and debunk and debunk and debunk. We end up eliminating usually 80% of out of it just because we're not comfortable calling it paranormal, or there's an obvious solution that didn't occur to us at the time. So that's why this takes so long. So we're about halfway. So we have found some things though that I'll talk about. We don't obviously we're not ready with the video yet, but a lot of noises, a lot of banging sounds, a lot of things moving around. Actually, a lot of stuff sounds like walkers and canes. If you listen to it, it happens so much I've stopped writing it down. I write down the really good ones, but there's so much of it that if I wrote down every one, we'd be reviewing evidence till November. There are some residual EVPs there. We've caught some EVPs of "Let Me Out" or "When Can I Go Home," which are kind of sad. But we believe that's residual energy because we're not asking questions; it's just coming up on the cameras. I did try to communicate with family. We haven't reviewed that part yet. I will say when I started talking. What I did was I went back in the generations and I named who I am, who my father was, and who my grandfather was, who was the son of my great grandmother who lived there. And when we started doing that, the room atmosphere did change, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it was connected. I just think I'm talking about family in a place where a lot of people were probably kind of lonely and missing their families, and that could have spawned some emotion there. We haven't looked at the footage yet on that. So we'll see. Um, there was a lot of tapping on my cameras. There's a real sound when somebody it's almost as if boop, 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 right on the top of the camera. It picks up on the microphone really, really loudly. And on the 3rd floor, I'm only about halfway through that evidence. Man, they like to tap on my cameras. David Hiltz likes to do that at Grapevine. David likes to tap the cameras too. Camera doesn't move, but it's definitely being contacted by something. There's 3 big things we found. 2 of them I'll talk about. One, a book slid off of a shelf and fell on the ground when Emily and Al were investigating the North Wing. Now, I have the sound of this on camera, but I do not have it on camera because the camera was here and then there was a corner and it happened at a nurse's station. So it's right next to the camera, but we don't have it on camera. We have the after picture. I'm hoping that when Emily was doing handheld, she swung around and caught it on the shelf before it fell, because I can't prove that it was there beforehand, even though we all heard it, we all saw it, and we all know when it comes to presenting evidence, I'm going to be able to make much more captivating of a case if we can show that it was there before it fell. So we'll see. We did get a confession through the spirit box, though, when Emily asked who did it, and I believe the voice said that was me, which we'll play in the video. We may have caught footage of a rocking chair rocking on its own. I say may because I haven't dove into it yet. The rocking chair is moving, but it's right after I put the game camera back into the room, which the game camera activates on motion. And a light anomaly shoots out of the chair and it moves. Now, my question is, did we bump it as we were leaving the room? And I need to go back and look at the handheld footage to know that. I feel pretty confident that we didn't, but at the same time, I'm not going to present it as paranormal until I can prove it, if I can prove it. But it looks pretty good. It's a pretty amazing clip. I'm hoping it works out, but I'll know more once we finish. The last thing that happened, I'm not going to talk about in any detail. But it happened right at the end of the night when Emily was carrying a camera as we were tearing down. And if I can't debunk this, it's the creepiest thing we've ever caught. and it's creepy. And to be honest, I'm having trouble debunking it. So I'm not going to give you a much more detail than that. But it happened right at the end of the night, and it creeps me out just to nothing. It just creeps me out just to watch it when we're reviewing it. When I showed Emily the first time, her mouth was just like she couldn't believe that. That we caught something that cool behind her. Cool, creepy, terrifying, whatever it is, it will easily go to the top if I can't debunk it. And I'm pretty sure it's legit, but I'm gonna continue to review it, go through the processes we always go through, to make sure we're not presenting anything that is easily explainable as paranormal, because that's the last thing we want to do. I'm not trying to create clickbait. I'm trying to tell a story of spirits and present actual paranormal evidence. So every time you do a video like this, your credibility is on the line. So I'm going to be very careful before I decide to call that paranormal. So that being said, when can we expect to put the video out? Hopefully within the next 2 weeks. This location is very different. In order to be able to make the video style that we make, I had to enter into a licensing agreement with them and pay additional money to them on top of what was already laid out for us to go there. So enjoy the video. Please enjoy it. We paid for this one. We paid good money for this one. Watch it many times. They'd also like to review it before it comes out, to make sure that we're not misrepresenting anything. And I get it. They told us why, and I completely understand. Apparently a group came in a couple of years ago, made a video, and they described it as an insane asylum, which it wasn't. It was a nursing home, and it was a poor farm when it first opened. And some of the family members who had people who lived there saw that and got really bent out of shape, rightfully so, about the misrepresentation. So they want to make sure that we're saying the truth about what rooms we're in, what the place was about, and all that. So I get that. And the thing is, they own the footage. That's part of the agreement. But to be truthful, every location owns the footage. I tell Tim from Grapevine Farms this all the time. He technically owns everything I film in his building. So it's just another little thing, a hoop to jump through. No big deal. We understood it. We gladly paid to be able to make the video the way we want to make it. But we can't wait to share this one with you guys. We can't wait. We are reviewing evidence at even more of a speed than we usually do. We can't wait to get this out because we know there was a lot of interest. We know you guys were really excited about this one. So at the end of the day, it was a great location, amazing people, great experience, for a once in a lifetime opportunity. And that's where this one really differs. Unlike most investigations that we do, we're not likely going back. And it's not because we didn't enjoy ourselves. We really did. I'd go there again in a heartbeat. But it was very expensive to go there to investigate, even before the licensing stuff. And if you're going to spend that kind of money to investigate somewhere, we're going to go somewhere different. Because it's not any more or less expensive than these other iconic locations. But, if we're going to drop that kind of money, we're going to try it into a place we've never been, instead of a place we've already been. But we'll never forget the night we spent at Hill View Manor. We'll never forget the experiences we had there, and I think once we're able to put the video out for you guys to see everything we captured, you'll understand why we're never going to forget it. So that being said, please submit questions, anything you'd like to discuss on these, because I would like to start doing these weekly. With that, thank you very much for watching, as always, and stay tuned. We will be putting out the evidence and putting out what we've captured as soon as we finish it. And you're not going to want to miss it. It's really good. So have a good night, everybody. Take care.